How's it going? I'm Andrew with Investors Hub, and Wednesday's Clem's Day here on Investors Hub Market Vision. He's the CEO of ADVFN, and he's my boss. And one of his specialties is DeFi. He's made a lot of money investing in it, and he's going to share his knowledge on what staking is, basically multiplying your Ethereum and your DeFi tokens. And he's also going to share with us some insights on how he evaluates a new DeFi token or project. Please note that our videos are not designed to be direct investing advice. We're here to gather the perspective of different investors. Our channel and our content should just be one stop on the journey of trying to find out where to put your money. So Clem, we've talked about it as a part of other topics, but I wanted to hone in on this specifically for this episode of the show. How does staking work in DeFi?
Well, there's different types of staking. One is where you take the coin that you're interested in, and you stake that particular coin with the site of the coin itself, and they will give you rewards for that. And then there are a different kind of staking called LP staking, where you take the coin that you're interested in, you match it with another one, like a stable coin, like for example, USDC, or perhaps not a stable coin, Ethereum, for example, and you put that in a liquidity pool on SushiSwap or on Uniswap, and then you lodge it with the site whose token it is, and then they give you rewards. So that's two types. Let's take the simplest first. So you get hold of some Clem tokens, and you go to Clem token site, and you go to the staking page, and you stake your tokens, and you have to pay some transaction fees, and then there you are. You've basically handed them over to the project themselves, and you can go and get them back at any time you like. But when you stake them, they're kind of out of play. In fact, they're not in your wallet anymore. They've gone to the owners of the token itself, and they're locked up in a vault, effectively. And the vault people, the token people, will look at that vault and every so often give you some more tokens. Thank you very much for locking them up. Here's some more for your time and your faith. So that's the basics of staking. So you will get, I don't know, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, 100, 1,000% interest a year on that, depending on which token it is. So right now, if you staked Ethereum for Ethereum version 2, I believe the yield is 11% a year, which is pretty nice. I think SushiSwap's Sushi token is paying about 5%, but in their case, it goes up and down depending on the day and how busy they are. So there are still permutations within that. And then if it's a new token and they just started offering staking and nobody's really paying much attention to them, and they're giving away, say, 1,000 tokens a day, and you're the only one that's put one token in there, you're the only staked token, and they're still giving away 1,000 to all the people that have staked, and you're the only guy, and you put one in, you're going to get 1,000 a day. So I don't know what million% APY that is. But of course, it depends on if the token's worth anything or if it's worthless. But nonetheless, it's a broad spread. It's a whole galaxy of craziness. And I do a lot of it because there's a lot of profit to be made if the market's going in your favor. And even if it isn't, say you bought a token, Clem token, and it was $1 a token, and you staked it and you're getting 100% interest on that. But the Clem token starts to fall. And it goes from $1 to 90 cents to 80 cents. Well, if it stays at 80 cents at the end of the year, you would have got a lot more Clem tokens. So if it's 100% APY, you'd have got twice as many tokens. So you'll actually be 60% up because your 100 tokens became 200 tokens and they dropped by 20%. So that's the sort of calculation you have to make. So that's basic staking. Now LP staking is a little different. You take the Clem token in this case, and then you go to Uniswap. And there's a Clem Ethereum pool there, and you get some Ethereum, and you match it exactly with the Clem token's value, and you bop that into the pool. Then you get given Clem Ethereum LP tokens, which Uniswap will issue you. Now you take those, and you go back to the Clem token site, and you go to the farm. It's normally called farm, this kind of staking, and you say, hey, have my Ethereum Clem token tokens, and the site will say, thank you very much, I'm going to give you 10%, 20%, 30%, 60%, 100% interest on putting those tokens there. So that is the basics of staking. The reason people do it is that it's a good way for those sites, the Clem token site, which by the way doesn't exist. The Clem token does, because I actually experimented and made a Clem token many months ago just to see what the process was. And in fact, there's 1 trillion of them, and they're worth $1 each. So, and I own them all, apart from 20 of them. So that makes me a trillionaire. That makes me the richest man on earth. Unfortunately, nobody wants to buy my 900 billion Clem tokens. So I'll have to wait till I become fashionable enough. But anyway, back to how it works with the proper projects. A proper project will go, well, when you go and you buy the token of our project, we effectively get that as capital. So when you give it back to us, we'll give you more tokens because you're kind of like a shareholder, or you're part of our motley crew, our community. You care about us. You're putting your Ethereum where your mouth is, and we get the benefit of that. So it's a way that projects are actually letting people who are interested in them fund them, but also have a share in them by actually having those tokens. And there's all sorts of complications around what sort of token you've got. But effectively, if it's a governance token, that would mean later on you could vote in proposals or create proposals on what that project should actually do or what direction it should actually take. So it's a mechanism for people at various stages of a project's life to actually become involved and give, well, not give essentially, but enable that company to finance itself. Because some sites do things like, well, give me a stablecoin Ethereum pair from Uniswap and stick it in this vault, and we'll take the interest on that, and we'll give you our tokens. So effectively, we'll issue our tokens for the money that you would be making from that pair if you had it on Uniswap or SushiSwap. So you're actually funding them to do that. Now also, they can do things like, well, take this pair and put it in our vault, and we'll look after it, and we will make it make more money by doing clever finance tricks with it. And the extra money, we'll take a chunk of that. Okay? And that chunk, we will actually pay out to you in our tokens, or we'll actually pay out to you in Ethereum, for example. So there's all these permutations which come out of the whole DeFi idea, and the idea of you got tokens, hand them over to a project and let them look after them and let them pay you, because they can do things cheaper, better, more efficiently than you can. And on top of that, they'll pay you that added efficiency bonus, plus they'll pay you in their tokens too, which is yet another bonus. And that is one of the things driving the whole DeFi scene, because if some guy borrows some, say, Ethereum at 10% a year, well, if you actually farm that properly, or you leverage that up, you can turn that money you're making from lending him the money into 50% more. And these sites often are doing that thing and taking the extra value, because they're doing it with, say, $100,000 rather than your $1,000, and that makes it cheaper for them to do it. They take that money, that extra profit, for themselves as an income, very much in the way a bank would. So that's kind of the complicated end. But simply, you take your coins, you stake it with the project or with another project, and they give you returns in that token or in other tokens and that token, and many different permutations of that kind of idea.
So what are some of the ways that you evaluate tokens to see if what you're getting is valuable and worth staking your real money or Ethereum on?
Well, really the first thing I look at is, what's the idea? What does the team look like? I mean, not physically, but how do they come across? How do they put themselves forward? And that's the two major things, and how expensive they are already or not. So if I go and have a look at a token and it's worth $1 billion, and I go to the various media of that team, and there are a bunch of, snotty people that think the world owes them a living, and they're the next best thing since rock and roll, then I'm probably not going to invest. If I go to a site and they've got really great developers and they're worth $1 billion, well, I think I'm going to be interested in that. And if they've got a great attitude, Now, if I go and see a small site and they're a bit funky, but they're doing something exciting, then again, I'll be interested. I mean, I'm really looking for attitude in the team. And if they've got, attitude, I'm not interested. If they've got a really, customer first attitude and they're open and they're honest and they come across honest and they come across as, proper normal people, sane, healthy and legal, then I will probably invest unless they're incredibly expensive already. So if you look at something like Uniswap, obviously a fantastic team, obviously a great product. And, I followed that all the way up and now it's worth 10 billion or something amazing like that. But, I wouldn't buy that because they're worth 10 billion. And I think that's pretty heavy. I mean, the London Stock Exchange is only worth 25. And, I don't think the NYSE Stock Exchange is worth a lot more. But anyway, that is why I wouldn't invest, but a great team. Now, if there was a great team and it was really, really cheap, I would go, heavily into that thing. So I think really it's down to the team and down to the idea. If it's a fantastic idea and it's a rotten team and it's cheap, I won't go near it. So I suppose the thing that I look for is the team. And something that a good team has, but bad teams don't, is that they don't keep changing the rules. Yeah, they say one thing and then they stick to it. They don't go, this is what we're doing today, and 2 weeks later they're going to go, oh, and we're going to change this now because that's in fashionable, and oh, we have this great idea. And then 2 weeks later they go, oh, we had another great idea and we're going to do something different now. They don't keep changing what they set out to do, or they don't keep adding new rules. They don't keep saying, well, this thing worked really well, but now we're going to do it different. They, stick to their guns and they let things run that they've started to a logical, in a logical way. I was going to say to a logical conclusion, but it's best that they don't change anything once they start on something that's good. And a lot of poor projects keep changing stuff. They have a great idea and they go, oh, we're not doing that now. We're going to do something else. The other thing I look for as a red flag is when the project is working really, really well and money is going to the coin holders, and suddenly they say, oh, we're not going to give that part of the money to the coin holders anymore. We're going to give it to different projects that, strangely enough, seem to be more likely to go to them than anybody else. And that also happens. And there's a little bit of that going on with Ethereum now. The miners are getting their fees cut and the money's going to go to burning coins. Well, when you burn coins, if you just happen to be one of the devs who's probably got a pile of Ethereum, your coins are going to become worth more. So really, you've taken money from the miners who basically kept the whole thing going for all these years, and you've given it to yourself. That's the sort of thing, that's a right put off for me. And you tend to see that often, because what happens is the developers come up with a great idea that's really, really benign, and all the coin token holders are going to make a lot of money and do really, really well. And then they suddenly go, oh, everyone else is getting rich but me. Oh, how do I get the money myself? Oh, I'm going to change the rules. When I see that, they're dead for me. Because ultimately, if the developers decide to take all the money, well, take all the money, and they'll destroy the project. Yeah. So if they do something and it works really, really well, and then they start to change it at all, that's a put off. If they start to change it to redirect funds to what they fancy spending the money on, that's a goodbye. So I think it's the team. The other thing that I'm very, very sensitive to is go on to their Discord and start asking them questions. And when they start to go, that's a really bad sign. And a lot of them do that. And it's a sign of immaturity. And it's a sign of bad organization. And it's a sign of bad management. But it's the immaturity that's dangerous. And I don't mean they're young, although probably half of them are 12. But I mean, could be out there, couldn't it? I think it's, you really need maturity when there's large sums involved. And if you've got a project and it's worth 10 million, well, that's a hell of a lot of money. That's a hell of a lot of money, more money than the people who are developing this stuff has ever seen, or their parents have seen, or their grandparents have seen, or the whole town has seen, let alone when it goes to 50 million, or 100 million, or 200 million, or 500 million. So that maturity is incredibly important, because, they can go all insane at the thought of them not getting money, or them not getting enough, or the programmer across the desk getting more than they are. Just the stress of all that money is enough to turn a lot of people's heads. So, maturity is a very, very important thing amongst the development team that's involved. So if you look at someone like Uniswap, they are very, very quiet. you don't hear much from them at all. And that's a good sign. That's a sign of maturity. Yeah. Go to some other projects and they're constantly, they're tweeting you 16 times a day. You're talking in riddles. It's like, you don't need that. You don't want to be putting 10 grand with people like that, do you? I mean, you don't want to put any amount of money at all with people like that, let alone money that you can't afford to lose. So I think it's really down, ultimately, at this stage, it's really, really early stage where everything's unregulated, everything's unproven, everything's revolutionary, everything's wild, is to look for good old-fashioned character. And I suppose that really is what I look for. So I go, oh, that's a spicy-looking project. Oh, I like the look of that. And then I look at the way that they've laid it out. Are they good developers? Oh, yes, they are. And I might poke it then. So I'll poke it, I'll put a bit of money in, and I'll play around with it and make sure it works. And then when it says, that's a $500 transaction fee, I'll go, whoa, maybe this one's not for me. And then if it is for me and it all works and it's kind of exciting, I'll then look up the team and see, what's going on there, and then poke that around and see if they come across as proper people, or whether they come across as crazy people, or whether they come across as shady people. And if they come across that they've got a good product, well executed, it's cheap, it seems secure, and the team seems sane, healthy, and legal, and they actually seem to care about their token holders rather than care about making money out of the whole thing, then I think I'm in quite heavily.
Thanks for watching, and if you like the content, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again soon.